Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And now that T-Mobile has officially reported their second quarter earnings, I've been able to listen to the earnings call. I've been able to watch the interviews, read some of the commentary. I wanted to discuss this a bit further because T-Mobile is heading in a direction that is very, very, very successful. I know some of it is not 100% there just yet, but you guys have to be able to see the path that they're going on. And it's a very, very successful one, right? And that's not knocking the competition, but in any sport, there's always got to be a winner, right? And with these numbers, I mean, the outsized growth, I don't even want to call it scary. It's insane how much more volume T-Mobile is growing at, right? T-Mobile added 830,000 postpaid customers. AT&T did 401,000. Verizon lost 52,000. T-Mobile did double. They did double versus AT&T. And that was with a churn that increased 10 basis points year over year. If T-Mobile was even 5 basis points lower, they may have grown over a million postpaid customers. That would have been crazy. So the volume that's coming through those channels is insane. It's just insane the amount of employees, the amount of customers that are going through the T-Mobile channels, whether that's T-Life, calls, calling care, going to retail, whatever it is, going through a third party like Costco, Sam's Club, whatever. They are filling those channels with huge volume. So it's interesting to say the least. Another thing that they kind of highlighted during this earnings call was network, which gives sense of more upside and more growth to come. So I wanted to discuss that on this video. So T-Mobile, and these are T-Mobile new site builds. They're building a total of 4,000 new towers this year. 1,000 of them have already been built. The other 3,000 will be built in the later half of this year, the second half. And that's separate. That build is separate from the US Cellular towers. And they upped that number. They went from getting 2,100 to 3,000. So it sounds like within that, from what I've gathered, and they weren't like super specific on it, but within that US Cellular footprint, which is labeled small market and rural area, they have about 9,000 total towers today that they cover with. They're going to take that to 12,000. And that's where that additional 3,000 new towers come into play, the US Cellular towers. T-Mobile's making moves. And they're making big moves. And I think Verizon is monitoring this the closest because Verizon's the most effective. And to not make this a Verizon video, but Verizon has to be very careful. This is the most competition from a pure wireless perspective that Verizon has ever received. In terms of a competitor in T-Mobile that is still purely focused on wireless, that's where majority of the investments are going, and they are closing in very, very close. AT&T has always been a threat. They've always been a competitor, but AT&T, and most of you are aware, has always been focused on something else. They always invest more in home broadband. Early on was DSL, copper, UVerse. Then they went off into media and they went crazy on that, and that required separate investment. So they were never just focused on wireless. T-Mobile, even though they're doing these small fiber plays, they are purely still wireless today, even after the Sprint merger, even after this US Cellular close. Metronet, by the way, is closing tomorrow, so we'll get an article on that. Even through all that, T-Mobile is still pure wireless. So most of their investments are going to pure wireless. That is going to affect Verizon. That is going to affect them. right? T-Mobile is touting big advancements on 5G, SA and all that, and they've been talking about that. But as I said before, now the best network, I mean, that we're going to see that everywhere. It's a huge marketing campaign from a digital marketing perspective. The TV, the nationwide campaign, the sponsored ads on social media. I mean, we're going to see all of that throughout the next few years. They're going to tout the best network until everyone has seen this in the United States. It's not going to go unnoticed, and T-Mobile is very loud. Now, one thing I did find very, very, very interesting is T-Mobile off the rip is going to be able to do, they think they can do 100,000 fiber ads for the second half of the year. We don't know if that's split 50,000 for Q3 and Q4, but they believe they can do that. I mean, just that right there is a higher number than anything that Verizon Fios is doing. I think Verizon Fios did like 15,000 ads for Q2. That's laughable compared to what T-Mobile can do with just these two players that they have on board now. That's crazy. And then FWA grew to I think it was 454,000. And that's still using the fallow capacity model. So they have not shifted any capital towards a actual build for FWA. I mean, T-Mobile is just firing on all cylinders across the board. And they are going to continue this for the foreseeable future. I do not see a slowdown on this in any way, shape, or form in any of their channels. Business, small business. Apparently T-Mobile does struggle a bit in the mid-market. They did talk about that. So that's not a good thing. But this new venture with Charter and Comcast apparently is supposed to help with that. So we'll see how that helps. But for now, T-Mobile is very, very strong, and that's just factual, right? They're gonna grow that U.S. cellular footprint. They have no, I mean, there's no signs of slowdown. This was an outsized growth quarter, another raise and beat, and that doesn't look to slow down in any way, shape, or form. So just wanted to briefly cover that. So we'll continue to see T-Mobile post these types of quarters. We'll continue to see the network grow to an even bigger scale, and we'll continue to monitor the situation, of course, and we'll see the outcome. But within the next 12 to 18 months, 7,000 new towers are going to be added by T-Mobile, and the algorithm is telling them to attack rural. So that's where most of these new tower builds are going, into rural America. But let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.